All right, everyone, I am going to drop the link to our presentation into the chat so that you can follow along if you'd like and also have it for later. We also send this out along with the recordings that we will send you the presentation, the recording, and your certificates within about a week and a half. It's been taking us because we take the recording and clean it up before we send it out. But if you stay through the end, you will get a certificate for CEUs for this course that will be sent along with all the materials. Looks like this is going to be all for today. Others may pop in and join when they come. So today we're doing our physical activity for student engagement and regulation. Be ready, guys, to get up and move yourselves today a little bit. Okay. So Zoom logistics, if you're able to, if you could please turn your cameras on so that we can see your smiling faces. It helps us all stay engaged with each other too. If you'd like, you can have a few pieces of blank paper for notes. We won't have any breakout rooms today, but feel free to put stuff in the chat as you go along. You're welcome to unmute or raise your hand and we'll get to you. We want to interact with each other. If you're not talking, please remember to keep your microphone muted. So who are we? I am Donna Trujillo, Vice President of Tiered Services and Special Populations with Generation Schools Network. I've been with GSN a little over 4 years now. I was formerly the director of the third largest school district in Colorado for special education, all 90 schools. I've also been a special education teacher myself, disability coordinator for preschool, and taught pre-K through 12. And joining us today, she won't necessarily be talking, but she will be able to, she'll be supporting on the backside. Anna, you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Sure, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Hogberg, and I am a senior director here at GSN. I've also been here a little over 4 years, and prior to GSN, I was an elementary principal in a rural school, and a dean, and then I have taught in elementary, mostly second, fourth, and fifth grade. And then here at GSN, I help support SEL and a lot of our tier 3 services and supports.
Yep, and here at GSN, we work with districts and schools across the nation. We have a wide range and depth of knowledge throughout our team. So if there's ever anything you or your school district needs, we're happy to support. Just reach out to us. We also seek private and grant funding for schools and districts around the nation. So if there's any kind of project that you're looking for, you want help with that, we can help you with that. And it's okay if your camera is not working. Okay, let's get going. So what are we doing today? Well, first we're going to learn why physical activity is important. What is CPAP? How to implement CSPAP, and explore the SEL connection. So let's start with, why is physical activity important? Well, think about PE. Think about when you maybe did sports in school. I know for myself, I always feel better after I get some type of physical activity in. What it does do good things for our brain, as we can see here, boosts our self-esteem, helps with concentration, improves sleep. You end up having less stress, tension, and mental fatigue. A lot of us, I remember going to the gym often and thinking, oh, I'm so tired, but I forced myself to get there. And at the end, I had more energy. I felt like I had accomplished something. I was motivated and focused. You get less anger and frustration. It also helps encourage a healthy appetite, because if you start working out and you've been eating cheeseburgers and fries all day, you don't do so well. And then it also offers that social connection, something in common that we can interact and talk about. So that's what we're hoping to achieve with our students and why it's so important. So we're going to put your memory to the test right now. So you're going to see some letters flash on the screen. They're going to be up for 3 seconds. So get a piece of paper and pen. And we want you, as you see those letters, to write down as many letters as you can after they disappear, not during, after. You can't write anything until the letters are gone. We're going to have 6 trials of this. Each trial has more letters than the one prior. After the first trial, we're actually going to get up and do some physical activity for 1 minute. Then we're going to take the same test again and see if you can do any better. Anna had her son do this earlier today, and he improved by 10 letters after the physical exercise. So any questions on this activity? I'll give you a second to get your papers and pens ready. Again, write the letters after they disappear. All right, Anna, we can go. Oh, sorry. Here's the memory test. Here's trial 1, trial 2. You can use this or you can set it up. It's just a way for you to keep track. So we're going to have 6 slides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to write the letters you remember after they disappear. All right, let's go. All right, how did you do? How many letters did you get? Drop that in the chat. All right, now we've got to move it. All right, so we're going to get 1 minute of some sort of exercise. You can stay in your chair and move your arms overhead, wave them. 21 for Marianne. Wave them around. You can get up and do jumping jacks. You can run in place, yoga, body weight squats, anything. Get up from your chair, sit back down, keep repeating for 1 minute. All right. Anna, are you ready with your timer?
Yep, let me get it on there.
Tell us when you're ready to go.
All right, ready? You can start.
Okay, everybody start. And if you want to unmute and talk, you can too. How's the weather where you are, Anna?
Beautiful in 70s. Sorry, guys.
It's cold and windy up here with a big storm blowing in.
I love that little
Colorado.
picture. Hmm?
Huh? Go ahead.
I said the Move It song reminds me of my second graders. We played it the last few minutes of the day, every single day, to get everyone moving faster to clean up. And
Aw.
moved a
I
lot.
bet they started dancing.
Yep, they're kind of conditioned to that song by then. Now you got 10 seconds.
Oh, okay, we got it.
All right, 3, 2, 1. You can rest.
All right. Okay, everybody's heart's going. Mine's ready. All right, we're going to do this again. Again now. We're going to see each slide for 3 seconds. After the letters disappear, record the letters. Same thing as the first one. We're ready, Anna. All right, go ahead and take a minute and Grade yourselves. And when you're ready, drop how many numbers you got right. Jackson, 11. Oh, Kathleen went backwards, 7, but now 5. Gnome, 8. 16 for Caitlin. 10 for Sue Jo. Okay, it looks like for those of you who entered your numbers the first round, everybody but Kathleen increased the number they had. Kristen, 10, 29. Amy, you didn't do the first round. When you see that, when you get the PowerPoint, you can try doing it without physical activity. Anybody else? All right, Anna. Oh, sorry. Noam, you have a question? Are you measuring how many in a row we get correct? Well, we just did it for the whole number that you got correct. But with students, we were doing overall. So with students, you can do by row, and then you can add in a little nice math lesson by having them figure out the percentages too. Or if it's younger kids, subtraction, addition. Okay. So what is CSPAP? This is called the Comprehensive School Physical Activity Program. It's part of the whole school, whole community, whole child model. It's a framework for planning and organizing activities. So it's a multi-component approach for students to be physically active, meet the nationally recommended 60 minutes of physical activity each day. I know a lot of us have schools where our sessions for classes are less than 60 minutes. So students may go to PE, spend 15 minutes getting ready and undressing. So they really only get about, if they're lucky, 30 minutes a day of physical activity within that PE classroom, if they even have PE. And then, so doing this whole school approach, whole community approach, builds in that 60 minutes of physical activity naturally each day. It also helps students develop the knowledge, skills, and confidence to be physically active for not just while they're in school, but for their lifetime. So what is it? Strong coordination and synergy across all components. So we have physical education, physical activity before and after school. We, of course, get our family and community involved and engaged. Staff are involved, and physical activity throughout the school day. So physical education. We typically see this as an academic subject. It provides students with their curriculum and standards based. The curriculum and standards they're meeting are developed to develop motor skills, knowledge, and behaviors for that healthy, active living, physical fitness, sportsmanship, self-efficacy, and emotional intelligence. Typically, the essential components of that PE program are policies and environment, curriculum, appropriate instruction, along with student assessment. Yes, PE teachers do have to collect data too. I know we all think they just get to sit and blow their whistle, but they really do collect data on student progress. I hear my kids all the time, oh man, I have a mile run tomorrow. I have to beat my time from last quarter. How am I going to do that? And then they come home, I did it, or I didn't make it, but I tried. So yes, they are collecting data as PE teachers. And then what does physical activity before and after school look like? So this is designed for all students. They get an opportunity to be physically active. So examples, walking and biking to the school. And I know we're in our area, buses, anyone outside of a 4-mile radius have to walk, bike, or be driven by their parents. So all the time we see kids walking and biking to school. That's a form of physical activity. There's clubs and intramural programs. These are voluntary, they're usually student-centered, and they should give an equal opportunity for all students to participate. So even your students with 504s or IEPs, sometimes you have to make accommodations for them to have access. They're usually informal recreation or play on school grounds as well. A lot of elementary schools are great about this. Kids are outside playing on the playground while they're getting to school, and then they'll enter the building when it's time. Physical activity in school-based childcare programs. So a lot of schools offer before and after school programs. You can incorporate physical activity into there. And then integrating physical activity and homework during out of school hours. You can actually have students, and we'll talk about it more, take breaks as part of their homework and get some physical activity. And you can utilize community-based organizations. A lot of the schools in our areas will partner with community-based organizations to have them come in and teach karate classes or do pickleball instruction, tennis lessons, things like that. It doesn't have to all be on your plate to offer those programs. And then that family and community engagement. So we want to authentically engage families to assess their priorities, needs, and capacity. We create opportunities to collaborate with our families and community partners and also make fun experiences for staff, students, and families. So some examples are sports tournaments for fun, runs and walks, obstacle course races. You could do morning and evening yoga for all. A lot of schools now do the fun runs where they're actually raising money for run and how many laps a student thinks they can do, and they get donations for how many laps they complete. I've seen schools do things where they'll set up the obstacle course races by grade level and then time it, and based upon participation, the winning grade gets ice cream, or maybe in this case it should be carrots and celery, because we're talking about nutrition too. There are so many ways to engage our community and families. One of my daughter's school actually does 6-week sessions where parents come in and teach electives. So a couple quarters ago, she was doing pickleball. Another quarter, she did, for a 6-week session, she did the sword fighting, learning how to use swords, fencing and sword. She's learning to knit right now and crochet, which isn't very physical, but there's ways to bring in families and community even to instruct classes and offer electives if you get creative. You can do family nights at GSN. We have the silent speakers, and we'll create nights for our schools and districts where parents come in and we will do a silent disco, or we will show exercise videos and all do yoga or exercise together using those silent headphones. Schools often will have like a Friday fun lunch or at a little assembly where they have a dance off or a dance party every Friday. There's so many ways to get physical and also bridge that gap between family and community. So staff involvement. We want staff to authentically engage to assess their priorities, needs, and capacity. So if you're an administrator, talk to your staff about their interests, and then you can align things with them. We do sessions with teachers all the time and figure out, okay, what do you like to do? Some like to play basketball, some might like to do art, some do yoga, and we'll build nights where the staff can get together and take turns choosing activity, and then they'll participate in it together with one of those people, one of the staff leading the activity. You can involve your staff on the implementation team for the planning and execution. You can also have experts to provide coaching, and then create a professional learning community around this. The best way to do it, model best practices by staff commitment to physical activity, encouraging them to get out and walk during their plan time or lunch break, or going to the gym and hanging out with the students and interacting with them if they want. I've seen a lot of schools too do physical activity challenges with their staff. There's lots of apps that you can use to track. And then there can be opportunities to win prizes, or even like we do with students, you get extra recess time. Maybe a staff member can earn an extra planning period for a week. There's so many ways that you can get them involved and engaged to also be physical themselves. We have so many staff who are struggling to stay mentally safe and sound themselves. And we all know that if we're tired, run down, and exhausted, when we walk into a classroom, though, it's so hard to get through that day and keep that smile on our face. You can also provide staff-only opportunities to connect, like volleyball teams, floor hockey, dodgeball, joining a recreation league if you have that in your community. Remember to keep your staff going too, not just your students. And then physical activity during school. Here's a great point of view for you to keep in mind. So when students are cognitively at a certain age level, their attention span varies by age level. So you can see at 2 years old, they're going to be able to sustain attention 4 to 6 minutes. And then you jump down to 16 years old. We have a lot of high schools who have 90-minute classes. If you think about it, those 16-year-olds, they can only sustain a maximum attention of 48 minutes. Those with ADD, ADHD, other anxiety, depression, they may be less than that. So as you're teaching and instructing, pay attention to the age of your students and the amount of time they can actually sustain attention. This can help with your behaviors in your classrooms too, if you get up and have some physical activity within these increments. And remember, every child is different. Time is affected, or their time on task, on attention is affected by their stress level, if they had adverse childhood experiences, and or if their basic needs are met or not. Did they have breakfast in the morning? Did they have dinner last night? Do they even have a roof over their head? Are they couch surfing because they're homeless? Are they living in a camper? Are there 30 adults living, or 30 people in their family living together in a house? We have to remember those too. That can decrease attention. But again, the good news, physical activity during the school day can help them with all of this. And then also remember those pre-existing mental health conditions. So what does physical activity during school do? Well, it gives the executive functioning part of the brain a break. When we're writing, when we're learning, when we're taking notes, that's a lot of processing our brain has to endure and can create cognitive overload. It'll increase the energy through blood flow to the brain and body. It also relieves stress. And then physical activity, there are lots of ideas to choose from. So we now want to hear from you. I'm going to drop the link to a Jamboard into the chat. And if you can just jot down your ideas in here, it's going to be posted. Let me get it up to everyone. Just a second. Sorry. Well, Anna, I don't know.
That's
I had
okay.
it up, but it's not going.
Copy it
Let me
really.
see. I had it ready to paste and then technology.
That's okay. You can try that right there for everybody.
Okay, so Anna, thank you. Anna dropped the link for the Jamboard into the chat. If you could pull up that link and write your ideas down on the Jamboard. Let's get ideas from each other.
And if you're new to the board too, you can come over here just on this little sticky note right underneath the arrow. And you can click on one to open up a new idea. So you can put it anywhere on the board, or you can move your sticky note close to another idea that is the same. And we can move each other's around too. Love the Go Noodle. My students used to love that one. We compete against all the other classes. Like that.
Walk to school Friday through the neighborhoods. Walk and talk around the classroom. I have one in the chat. Catch the Beat, a game that was made up to help kids reset their amygdala. Love that. How does that work? Would you mind unmuting or sharing that in the chat?
Sure. Yeah, I'm was trained by Dr. Bruce Perry. So I'm a neurosequential model of education trainer. And I love this webinar because it helps with trauma if you do repetitive rhythmic movement. And so when I was working in EDC programs, they didn't like it when we forced them to do physical movement. So I turned it into a game like Simon Says, and would just use anything to find a beat, like a drum. If I had no drum, I'd tap my legs. And they could use pencils and tap, like, but they had to do whatever I did at the same rhythm I did it. And the person observing, the other adult in the room would observe, and whoever caught the beat the best would get to then lead.
Oh, fun. That's building musicality too, and helping with the left and right brain, especially for those students with dyslexia, dyscalculia, and dysgraphia.
Yeah, the kids
Great.
loved it. And I've tried it with preschoolers. I've tried it at my church setting. I've tried it with K-5. I've tried it with middle schoolers. I even tried it with high school last year. I was subbing in a class and everyone was dysregulated. I'm like, all right, we're playing Catch the Beat. And they totally played.
Well, and you could do it with your hands or your feet to get that physical movement.
Yeah, you can. They don't recommend using your hands just because people that have been physically abused, that can trigger trauma, the clapping sound. So, and then obviously you have to be mindful of kids on the spectrum where you want to be mindful of how loud your volume gets as well. But yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Your fingers. Yeah, you can do it anywhere. We could even do it at dinner or lunch.
Sure.
Love it. All right, chair desk stretches. What is Lou Interactive Playground? Anybody want to share what that is?
The Lou Interactive Playground is a system that we've been encouraging in most of the schools here in New Mexico. It's a system that is portable, that can be moved from a gymnasium to any place that has a blank wall, where the kids can engage with it on an interactive level. So if, let's say, if a teacher wants to program a spelling assignment or a reading assignment, they can use like a ball to hit the letters to spell the words, or they can use it to solve mathematical problems. But the entire time they're moving, so that could be a team activity. I've seen it used in family engagement nights where the parents are trying to outspell the kids and they're just kind of running back and forth, almost like a dodgeball kind of thing, but they're aiming at the wall. So it's an amazing machine. So it's pretty cool. So.
Oh, and can they just check it out and use it in their classroom?
Yeah, well, again, they would need a good size wall to project it on because it's a projection kind of system. But yeah, the teachers can check it out, or they can, like, so they have in most of the schools that we're using, they upload their lesson plans into the Lou, and it creates the animation. So even I have some teachers using it for yoga. So there's a yoga instructor on the wall going through poses. It's pretty phenomenal.
Huh. That's interesting. That would be a good grant project. Thank you for sharing.
Not a problem.
Anybody else care to throw out any ideas, unmute and share any ideas or something cool they've seen or would like to do?
I have
Go ahead, Anna.
As I say, when I had second grade, and it was really big on adding, subtracting, the kids would work in groups or use their bodies to show their numbers. in their answers too. So it almost looked like silly poses. But any of that stuff for like adding, subtracting, or I see a lot, especially in elementary math classes where they're standing up and moving when they're doing angles or they're doing different shapes, and a lot of body movement doing that. And just, I knew personally when we were doing that in fourth grade, like I could see a lot of growth in those units with my students when they were allowed to stand up and do that. And then could see them doing it when they were done.
Uh-oh, we have a drill in the background. Let me see if I can mute it. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, and like I know when I was instructing reading, I would have the students have different motions for their phonics, right? And just any movement, think about it too. When we have movement, it creates muscle memory, which then helps us memorize things, remember things for longer. All right, Anna, we can go back to the PowerPoint. Thank you for taking the time to share. And that Jamboard will stay up, so you can always go back and refer to it if you want to review ideas that others dropped in. So during school, we want to consider training for staff. Our staff, what are they going to need to be prepared? What resources will we need? What time and scheduling do we have for this? How are we going to incorporate it within an academic lesson and outside academic lessons? We always want to pick things that we are doable, easy, fun, and as much as possible accessible for all. And if they're not accessible for all, how can we make accommodations so that everyone has access? For students with autism, if you're doing the beat game, maybe they have their noise canceling headphones on and can watch rather than listen. Classroom space, and then we want to collect data, of course, and how you set that up can look different based upon what you're trying to collect. Is it around attention, increased activity, or is it nutrition? Are you seeing less behavior issues? There's so many ways that you can decide to collect data. Just pick your target and gather that information, and then share and celebrate successes. Keep that momentum going. And then how do we plan it? First, create a team. Team might start small, might be 1 or 2 people, and then slowly grow as you get more buy-in. Conduct a needs assessment so that you can go back to those questions that were before. What do staff need to know? What don't they know? What are they going to need? And what do we already have? And you may consider creating a mission, vision, and desired impact so everybody knows the why behind and what's happening. Decide if it's going to be short-term or long-term. Develop a plan. You can use a logic model to develop this. You can do phased implementation. So looking up logic models, looking up implementation science, those help you with seeing the barriers before you reach them. Also helps you with getting that buy-in from the start, rather than just putting something on teachers' plates that they're not ready for. And then you can implement, and then next stage is evaluate. So tying it back to social emotional learning, right? Physical activity hits all components of our CASEL core competencies. Self-awareness, it helps the students know and recognize when they need to regulate. It then gives that self-management. They get strategies to use to be able to regulate and reset. For social awareness, that emotional health, for empathy and perspective taking, the relationship skills, better regulation leads to better relationships. Also, a lot of physical activity can incorporate those team building and collaborative activities. And then responsible decision making, that ability to learn appropriate strategies for that emotional dysregulation. All this helps students stay more engaged, helps our teachers meet with success, helps everyone's whole health if we add in that physical activity. So here are some resources for you. And if you have the PowerPoint, save it. If not, again, we'll be sending it out. But you can look at these websites for more strategies, for more ideas, and ways to bring this into your school setting or even your individual classroom setting. I like to start things with myself too before I ever present them to someone else. So maybe try a few yourself, test them out like Anna did with her son today with our activity, and then you'll be able to speak and advocate for why it's a good strategy or something to try. And then here's some more resources for you as well. Lots of takeaways today for you guys to look at and dig into if you'd so like. And that'll be in the presentation too. So that brings us to the end of our presentation. We went a little quicker than normal today. Hopefully everybody is okay with that. You'll still get your hour and a half of CEUs for it though. We will be dropping the feedback survey link into the chat. You can also use your phone to pull up the QR code. And remember, to get your certificate, you have to fill out the survey. So please take a minute and fill out the survey. And once you're done, we will send you your information within the next week and a half. Sometimes it takes us two. Just be patient. We don't forget. If you haven't gotten it, it's because we are working on getting everything ready for you. And then Anna, you can go to the next slide. So if you would like to partner with us, here's my information. If you have any questions about anything from this forum, previous forums, or you're needing more information, just let us know. We're happy to help you any way we can. Anyone from our team can get you to the right person. And yes, we will drop the PowerPoint in again. Anna, are you able to do that?
I will have to stop screen
Here,
sharing.
I'll get it. I got it. I can get it. Just a sec.
Thank you.
Give me just 1 second, guys. Let me go and get it again. Maybe. Any questions or any other thoughts or ideas to share before we have you leave today? Feel free to unmute or stay on. And thank you for your time today. We know a lot of you have had a busy day. All right, there's the presentation link again too. And hopefully we'll see you next month. And again, that survey that you fill out, we do take your feedback and look through it as we are building our presentations. It also gives us ideas for moving forward for planning our next year's presentation. So we do appreciate your time in filling that out. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Thank you.